Building on our cars practice from week 1, in week 2 we explored a type of cars called capsular cars. So this is, instead of taking the joint inside of its socket and exploring its fullest pain-free range of rotation, it's when we take any one of those positions of a cars and arrest it in place so that we can explore some rotation in the socket right at that point. And for the hip cars, any of the degrees or angles, there's infinite options, can be frozen in place and explored just with that thigh bone rotating in the socket. Any position we can think of and bring the leg to can become a capsular CARS. And this is a good way to add grease and gain more rotational control over a joint, over that socket. Props like chairs or a wall can be used just to give us some feedback about the thigh staying steady as we rotate through the socket, swinging the leg. We can also use walls or chairs plus the leg in order to get some feedback about how the torso or the pelvis wants to participate. Am I able to wind as much rotation into one side of the socket as I can without the pelvis or the spine coming along for the ride as I move that thigh side to side in its rotational arc? Any point of the knee car can become a capsular car. Wherever that knee bend is, we can add rotation side to side, pulling the reins to turn that shin. Heels on a chair, we can get extra feedback with a yoga block between the knees, rolling over the ridge of the heel, a gentle pull through the heel to find again that shifting squeeze behind the knees. In addition to the capsular CARs, we played around with adding more squeeze, more work to the CARs that you are already doing. We call this irradiation, being this full body squeeze that we can produce in varying degrees, all the way from nothing up to 100%. To get a sense of this, grab a tennis ball or a can of soup or any object, begin squeezing that can, and then we're going to bring more and more squeeze to bear. As we do, we're going to let the effort climb into the rest of the body until the full body is squeezing at 100%, trying to crush that can. That spreading glow of effort we call irradiation. Another way to think of this is to take your hand and pretend you're doing a bicep curl just against the air. Here I'm bending the elbow, there's no effort. But if I like, I can pretend that I have a 10-pound weight in my hands. That's a little bit more. I can pretend that I have a 30-pound weight in my hands. Now, everything has to squeeze a little harder to do that rep. I can pretend that I have a 50 or 60-pound weight in my hands. I really have to squeeze everything to the point of shake and moving slowly in order to produce that same elbow bend. This is self-applied effort, self-applied resistance. So the task of week 2's exploration is to take all the great CARs that you were practicing from week 1 and to explore adding a little more irradiation, a little bit more effort through some of your repetitions. Doesn't have to be all of them. And see if we can't maintain all that great uncoupling, all that great control of having just one joint move while everything stays still, but adding a little extra squeeze, a little extra effort, like you're swimming through thick jello. Additionally, at any point in your CARs, perhaps a point that feels a little disconnected, a little less controlled, or just a point that you feels good or you feel curious about, sneak a few capsular CARs into your regular CARs. So in that hip CAR, at any point we can freeze, say, okay, knee, you stay right there, and see how much twist and turn we can get from the socket before other parts start to come along for the ride. Same thing for the knees. Reach out with any questions. Happy play. Enjoy.